Good evening. We're up to Daf Samach Dalid, and we're going to discuss the Shita of Rav Dimi. Just to go over yesterday, Rav Dimi had said the person selling a field and a bar vidus. He's selling, a house with a bar vidus. If he says oim kevaroima, it does not include bar vidus. They're not included. The bar vidus are not included in the sale. They're not. Why? Because you need the oim kevaroima to include the oim kevaroima. That include the roof and the ability to dig. You need that, or else the meicha would and retain the ability to dig. So you need the lashon of Aim Kivarayma to include Kivarayma. So how, if you're selling a house, how would you be kind of the bar b'dus? If you're selling a house, how would you be kind of the bar b'dus? You'd have to say from the time to the rakia. You have to say that. That was the Shita of Rav Dimi. So again, min astam, if you don't mention Oim Kevarayma, right, you don't get it. You don't get, you won't get the airspace. You won't get that. The Meichel retained that for himself. By going ahead and adding the Oim Kevarayma, you get the Oim Kevarayma. However, you would not get a bar vidus. Why does it, when you go ahead and it said me time rakia, it includes the bar vidus. Now we're going to bring a riot to the Shita of Rav Dimi. We're going to bring a riot to Shita of Rav Dimi. We're starting from what? That's the gag. That's what we're talking about. So we're talking about now. So Samech Gimel Amid Beis, 2 lines in the bottom. Toshma. Let's bring a riot to Rav Dimi's din that minastam you don't get Oim Kevarayma unless you mention it. Loyes agag bisman sheyesh la ma'aka gavay asar tefachim. The Mishnah said if you sell a house, the gag you do not get the gag if what? If there's a micah, if there's a fence around it of 10 tefachim high, you would not get it. You wouldn't get it. If you're going to tell me if you sell a house stam, without mentioning when it's 10 tefachim high, so who cares? In other words, if minas stam you're selling the house, included it is in oike v'roima, correct? Then you should get the roof. Elama, you see that why it's not included, and the only way. So the Mishnah that says that you don't get it is speaking that you didn't mention oike v'roima. And therefore, you don't get the roof. Why? Because in the sale, Ministam is not included on Kevarayma. That's the Chayrei Raya to Rav Dimi. Says the Gemara. 1 second. Maybe not. Maybe Ministam you would get on Kevarayma. But when it has 10 tefachim around it, Ki Gavaya Asar Tefachim I have it. Kivim the Gavaya Asar Tefachim. And for the Gemara, Kivim the Gavaya Asar Tefachim, Chashiv. Since it's Asar Tefachim, it's Chashiv by itself. Let's see the Rashbam over here. Two lines down. If you can tell me minastam, you get oim kevarayma. Am I like Hana? Why don't you get the roof? Elalav shmamina the roima bistama. If you don't mention anything, like Hana, like gag gavaya sarav, like avim miyud ve'elach. That's it. Who then the like Hana amke mistama klal, right? And mistama you're not kind of the amke at all. Kirav dimi. Umiyu just why I saw 10 tefachim ashma. If it's less than 10 tefachim, you would get the gag. But 1 second, if it's not included in Kevarayma, so who cares about the 10 tefachim? You should get the gag at all. So he's asking a kasha. Again, he's asking a kasha. L'chayra, if you're telling me you don't get it, why does it have to be 10 tefachim not to get it? Mashma, if it's less than 10 tefachim, you would get it. Why? I didn't say Kevarayma min aslam. So, and that is answering the kasha. Miu gag she'ein loy ma'ka gavoy yud kana mistama l'shtamesh al gag. You would get rights to the roof. Why? They ain't sebachal roim. That's not considered roim. Guys, eye contact. The Rashbam is making a distinction between the flat of the roof and when you have 10 tefachim around the roof. When I have 10 tefachim around the roof, now I'm getting the roima. I'm getting this airspace also, right? If you don't have it, you still don't get the airspace, but you would get uses of the etzem gag itself, similar to an aliyah, the attic you'd get. You get me said in those days they use the roof. You would get the roof, but by going in and having 10 tefachim around it, it makes it now you don't even get the roof. It makes it a makom chashiv b'fnei atzmai. Bottom line is you do not have a raya to Rav Dimi because really it could be you would get the roof without saying Oim Kevarayma. So l'chayra, if you would get it without saying Oim Kevarayma, why over here don't you get it? Because since it has 10 tefachim, it's considered a shus b'fnei atzmai, and therefore since it's a shus b'fnei atzmai, it's not included in the sale. It's not included in the sale. Okay, now we're switching gears. Instead of a riot Rav Dimi, we're going to ask a kash on Rav Dimi. Again, instead of a riot to Rav Dimi, we're going to ask a kash on Rav Dimi. Again, just to reiterate, what does Rav Dimi hold? Rav Dimi holds that if you go ahead and sell a bias, you don't get the oif b'roima automatically. You won't get that. The only time you get it is when you mention it. The only time you get it is if you mention it. If you don't mention it, you're not going to get it. That's Rav Dimi Shita. Amr Ravino Ravashi. Tashma. Dam Reish Lakish. This is we had yesterday. This is Gemara. So I say Meres from the Brisa. So I say Meres Rav Dimi's din. Hamoiche bias lechaveroi. V'amaloi al menas shediyuta hel yoina shali. I'm selling you the house on the condition that the gag that is 10 tefachim belongs to me. I'm selling it to you on the condition that the gag that's 10 tefachim belongs to me. And what's the din? The yutal yoina shaloi. Good. Now, so what halacha did you state this? In other words, he would have gotten it anyway, right? Remember, he automatically gets it. So what is it's like the case of the labor, my solution. You sell to the guy, he has no problem with it. So Smashim over here, he also has no problem with it, right? So what do you gain by saying this condition? Guys, again, the Yutel Yoina is the gag that's 10 tefachim. If you sell a house, it's not part of the sale. So what do you have to state in tonight that you retain rights to it? You have it anyway. Guys, you hear? You'd have rights to that anyway. So what are you gaining? On that we said, Zizin, we said, Maitzi. If he wants to go ahead and put Zizin out in the chutzner, he would, even though he's selling the chutzner with the house, we said yesterday, he'd have that right. The kash is from Rav Papa. However, Rav Papa Amar, Shem Maitza Libnois Aliyah Al Gaba Boina. If he wants to build an aliyah on top of that, he can build. Now, the Gemara's Havamina is like the mistake I taught you yesterday. Remember, I told you that you can build a new thing, and I said, no, it means when it falls down, you can go ahead and rebuild it. But the Gemara's Havamina is that you gain, you know what you gained? That you could build on top of it. Now, if you're going to tell me that a bistama, if you didn't mention you're not kaina, omli al menas. Right? Then what are you gaining over there? In other words, minastam to be kind of without amanas, right? Without Omkavarima. So what does Omkavarima do? It gives me reshus to build another layer. It must be so the original layer I have because what? Minastam. And then added to that, you know what I get? Omkavarima? It gives me another layer. So you see the halacha is not like Ravimi, because minastam you would get the roof. One more time. According to Rav Dimi, you have to say Oim Kumaroim to get that space. So what are we saying now? Bikasha. 1 second. The Papa says the din that you're saying when you say Oim Kumaroim, you know what you're gaining? You're gaining another level. Now, how did you get the first level, guys? Because minastam you get the first level, not like Rav Dimi. Again, that's the kasha. Minastam you would get the first level. There's your kasha. And when you say Omka B'Roima, you get the second level. That's the kasha. What's the answer? No. Really, when you say Omka B'Roima, guys, you need to say Omka B'Roima. Aye. So then if you'd say, so what are you gaining with this Tanai? What did you gain with the Tanai if you get it anyway? And the answer is that without the Tanai, if it fell in, you wouldn't get it. Now you can go ahead. If it falls in, you can rebuild it. So it's not like you thought you get an extra layer. You don't get an extra layer. What you do is you have a right to rebuild it, which you wouldn't have had or normally had you not gone ahead and made it Tanai. Well, let's see Rashman over here. I like his lashon. It's very interesting. Tashma, Dam Reish Lakish, right? Parallel a little bit up. With Rav Papa, actually, not from Rav Svid. We're going to ask him Rav Papa. If you're going to say, not like Rav Dimi, Dimistama without mentioning Amka Varoima, Kani Loikeach, Amka Varoima, Loikeach acquires the depths and the height even without Minastam, Hainu da Hani Tanoi, the Almanas. That's the Almanas that you retain those rights. Shumayutar, it's extra. L'charav Papa. Im Shemratza Moichel Libnois Al Gabi had the Yuta. If he wants to build a second layer, Ulagbiya Binyanoi, Acherim, another roof, Roy Michel Bayis, Baina. The Loy Asni, if he didn't make that tonight, have he kind of Lekech Leroima, Shal Gabi had Yoit Mistama. The Roy Michel Bayis, Kaina, Bechol Makim Mistama. In other words, guys, you would get Raima, Oimka Raima without saying anything. Why did you gain by saying Oimka Raima? You got that. You can build a second level. But again, the kasha on a Rav Dimi is, but the first level you would get without mentioning Oimka Raima. Good. And Rav Dimi said the pitch in this time, you won't get it. Good. At least I could ask the mistama like kana like Rav Dimi that you don't get the Oimka Raima. Like Kech Raima El Shalmaichahu Lamali Almanas Maya Hani Tanaim Yusa. Why does it help? Beloy Tanai Nami Havi Kana Michael the Yutel Yone. We get that anyway. Ula Raima shall bias. Them Haya Reitzel live nice baina. Ukasalka Daitach. The high maksha, the heched isu, the prushe, the milsa, the papa, the precious law. Like the havamina is now what? Like the way I explained it, you get the second level. So what's the answer? No, we're not speaking about the second level. You would get Oimke V'Roima, you wouldn't get it at all. Why does Oimke V'Roima help? Right? Minastam, you wouldn't get it. So unless you say Oimke V'Roima. So why does it help when he says Almanas? The guy says Almanas that I retain rights to the Yutel Yaina. That if it falls in, I would get it. That, in other words, that's the second level, guys. That's the second gain that you get out of Manasa tonight. Again, this A and B. A is what you get stam. Stam, I get nothing. I say Rima, I now get level A. Why does the Tanai, the Almanas that I would get the Yotel Yaina? We thought it means the second level. No, it doesn't mean the second level. You know what it means? It means you would get rights to go ahead and rebuild. That's what it helps. Because okay, now he finishes off. Listen, the end of this Rashbam is fascinating. Loilam is stama loy koin like heich. It's not koin. With the ka'amit yita tanoi lamali lachi hani. Why does it help? The nafla the yuta if it falls in, hadid bunny lake can rebuild it. Who could the precious lael? Rapapal avid binyan al gabi the yuta iri. He's not speaking like Laser Stern made a mistake last night and then making another building. El binyan the yuta atzma. The etzim level A itself. That what? Why does the Tanai help in level A? That in people, if it goes ahead and falls in, you can rebuild it. Listen to this lashon, guys. Kain near Shita Shmua Zeis Beinai. The Shita Sachem, there are other opinions. The Ein Behem Mamish. It says, Ein Behem Mamish. He says that this is the pshat. Okay, so just the Chassid Rebbe, guys. What do we see? Rav Dimi's din. You're going ahead, you're buying a house and you're buying a bar vidus. You say Oimke V'Roima, you're still not kind of the bar v'dus. Why? Because Oimke V'Roima only helps you to be kind of Oimke V'Roima. Because Minastam you don't get it. Well, what would you have to do to get the bar v'dus? You'd have to say Mitoim Ad Rakia. You'd have to say Mitoim Ad Rakia. Mishnah seems to the kasha that they asked him to the Yuta that you guys make a Tanai. It's the same thing. I go ahead and I sell a house. I sell the house and I'm retaining rights to what? To the top of the Yutel Yoina. And like, why do you have to say that? Right? Why do you have to say that? According to Rav Dimi, why do you have to say that? You would have it anyway. Now you see that again, you would what are you gaining by saying that? Minastam, meaning what would you gain? You'd be able to build a second layer, right? Meaning you would have the Oimke V'Roima Minastam, and that tonight adds on something to it. Later, Rav Dimi Minastam, you don't get the Oimke V'Roima. That's the kasha. And the answer is, you still don't get Oimke V'Roima. You know what the Yuta does? That once you say the Yuta Rosh Hashanah, that you would retain rights that you get in the roof itself. It says
just a quick question. I hope it's quick. The fact that he built a mica around the roof, his das wasn't to make anything or do anything. He was simply fulfilling a mitzvah d'oraisa because he'd be over on not doing it. He's not making anything out of it.
No, but it's a mitzias that it creates a separate. It doesn't depend upon your das. We know from Masechta Shabbos, like 10x4, right? 10 tefachim creates an area around there to be a makom chashav that's bifnei atzmai. So it's nothing to do with good. The motivation for doing it is to be kind of the mitzvah of Micah. Right, but regardless, the mitzvah is you created a makom chashiv. You saw from the Rashbam that we said earlier, if you didn't create it, it would be bottled to the gag. So what it does, you kind the mitzvah of Micah, and in addition, now it's shaftzvad in Dubrishus. You good? Quick enough. Says the Mishnah. Okay, we are familiar with this machlokes between Rabbi Akiva, and we mentioned it a few times, and now we'll see it. We mentioned it many times in the sugya. It says a person selling a house. It does not include layas abar, layas adus. It doesn't include. You don't get the bar, and you don't get the dus. Even though even though you mention you're not going to get the bar v'dus. This is Rav Dimi's din, guys. This is Rav Dimi's din. And not only don't when you sell your house, you would retain rights to bar v'dus. However, you would have to buy the rights to get to it. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. You'd have to buy the rights to get to it, right? What? What do you mean?
The right to get to you.
Sure. Sure, you could.
So you got to reduce. It's useless.
Okay. Again, might be me the Sedaim. It might be, but you can. Yeah, he doesn't have to sell it. If you sold it to him, he doesn't have to sell it back to you. You don't have to. In other words, if you didn't sell the bar this, obviously you retained rights to get to it. You must have retained rights to get to it. Okay. Let's first see Rashbam over here. Like Rav Dimi said in the Gemara before, you're not kind. And only that. What's the reason, guys, that it's not part of the sale? What's the reason it's not part of the sale? In other words, that since the shtamshus of the bar is different than the shtamshus of the house. When you bought the house, you bought everything in the house that what is for that purpose. We saw that chilik earlier that the Yitzia is not part of it, right? Because it's not part of the house. We said that cheder is not part of it because there's a different shtamshus. So we see it's similar to the bar. The cheder earlier we had in the first Mishnah, right? The cheder, that since it was, even though it was part of the house, since it was used for storage, therefore it's not part of the sale. So who had in the bar, which is used for a whole different tashmish of using for water, therefore it's not part of the sale. That's the reason. Okay. Now the moicha would have to buy away. The moicha Kiva would have to buy away, like the Chanan not. However, moicha Kiva bisman shomer chutz me elu. Shein tzarich likach derech. Okay, if you went ahead and said chutz me'elu, if you added the words chutz me'elu, like you said chutz me'devar v'dus, the Tanai helps that Rashbam says chutz me'devar v'dus. The Tanai shlei l'tzarichu she'einu b'chal bayis elu l'tfuye milsukas. He's commented on the shaylei derech. He's going to go ahead what and he's going ahead and he's leaving what he's leaving a derech. If you add the words again in the sale, if you would go ahead and say chutz me'elu from the bar v'dus, I'm selling you the house chutz from the bar v'dus. Since he added on those words, which wasn't necessary because he wasn't in on anyway, because even without tonight he's not selling the bar v'dus. Vada his kavanah is what? To leave over himself what? A derech. Guys, outside. Guys, outside. Look at me. A guy's going ahead. He's selling a house. All you're getting is the house. You're not getting the bar v'dus. So what does he say? I'm selling you in the house. I'm not a chutz. But guess what? Chutz in the bar v'dus. But it was chutz mi bar v'dus. You didn't have to say that. It wasn't included. Elama, the chutz mi bar v'dus was that extra lashon left himself a pith. Like Rabbi Akiva, you would get the pith. So that's the lashon over here. You would get that pith. Says Maida Rabbi Akiva's Maida Bisman Sha'imalo, where he added chutz me'elu with the exception of the bar v'dus, which already wasn't part of the sale. She'ein tzarich likach, and then he doesn't have to go ahead and purchase it. At that time, he would not have to go ahead and purchase it. Okay. Machran, let's say he sells the bar v'dus. That's what he's selling, la'acher, but he's leaving the house for himself. So now, he's not selling his house. He's selling the water. He's selling the water pit. He's selling his water pit. Does the person get away? Does he have to purchase a pit or not? So on this, says Rekiva Omer, ain't it tzarich derech? He doesn't have to. Automatically in the sale of the bar v'dus, you're leaving the guy a path to get to it. Automatically in the sale of the bar v'dus, you're leaving the person a path to go ahead and get to what? To get to the bar. The person who acquires it, he has to buy a derech. Okay, just a little heads up outside. when a person makes a sale, right? Does he sell ba'ayin yafa or ba'ayin ra? So clearly, Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion he's selling ba'ayin yafa. So let's go through it now. So if he sells the house, not included in the bar vidus, it's not included, correct? But since he sells ba'ayin yafa, any land around, even the land around the bar vidus, would be part of the sale because he sells ba'ayin yafa. Conversely, the Chacham say no, he sells ba'ayin ra, and he's going to leave himself a path to the bar. Conversely, if he's selling the bar vidus, and now it's the opposite. If he's selling ba'ayin yafa, he's going to sell what? Not only the bar vidus, but the path to get there. With the Chacham say ba'ayin ra, no, he's only going to sell you the bar vidus and nothing more. That's the way the Gemara is for us. Now, you guys have been sitting here for a long time. And you're saying he constantly says bar vidus. I know what a bar is. What's a dus? You don't want to ask. Well, it's some type of water hole, right? It's something like that. Okay. So hainu bar hainu dus. Amalei Rava to spa. The Ravina said Rava to spa from Ravina, name of a place. Tashma Yitanya. Echad bar. V'echad dus bekarka. They're both in the ground. Elo shabor b'chafira v'adus b'binyan. The bar is in a chafira dugout, and the dus is in a binyan. Now, what does that mean? We're going to see a machlokes between the Rashbam and Rashi. Okay, let's see Rashbam. Hainu bar v'hainu dus. Eis bar v'eis dus. V'aloi ein heker ben zelizeh. Sheshneim amukim b'karka. They're both in the ground. And they both have water. Why are you telling me both of them? So we said a bar is b'chafira, b'karka kasha, in strong ground, meaning the ground itself is where you're putting your water in. Shemachzik mayim b'lei binyan. It's able to hold water without any binyan. In other words, there's no need to put any bricks or any type of clay in the pit. However, the dus is bebinyan. What does that mean? You dig a bar in water in sand, or soft earth. Now, if that's soft earth, it's not going to hold the water, right? It's going to get absorbed. And then within the soft earth, within that excavation in the cavity, you would go ahead and build with bricks. Umikri dus, and it's called a dus. So that's the difference. So according to her, everyone holds the bar is just simply an excavation in the ground. Now, Rashi and Erchin seems to say, and the Rambam as well, that when it says Bibinyan, that there was around the pit, there was a wall. Bibinyan doesn't mean in the pit, it means around the pit. So that's machlokes. Rashbam is everything is in the ground. According to Rashi and the Rambam, no, Bibinyan means that you built around it. But either way, it is a water source. It's a water source for your house. Yosef Ravashi v'kashlei hainu bar hainu dus amalei mar kashisha bereid Rav Chisda Ravashi tashma Tanya echad bar echad dus bekarka el shabba bechafira v'adus bebinyan. That's the chilik between them. It's tzarich likach like derech the Rabbi Akiva. You sell the house, but you retain rights to the bar v'dus. It's a separate shtamshus, and therefore it's not part of the sale. So therefore, but you have to go ahead and buy rights to get to it. You don't have to. You don't have to. Says the Gemara, right? What are they arguing in? Amid base. What are they arguing in? Rabbi Akiva Savar Moicher ba'ayin yafen moicher. When a person sells, he sells ba'ayin yafa. So even though he retains rights to the bar and the dus, he did sell all the karka that went along with it. And Memela, he would not have what? He would not have means of getting there. Rabbanan Sami, Moicher ba'ayin roa moicher. And Rabbanan is of the opinion when a person sells, he sells not generously, and therefore he left himself what? A way to get to the bar and dus. Udakama nami ba'alma, and all over with Shas, where it says, Rabbi Kiva l'tamei, dama moicher ba'ayin yafa moicher, mehacha. This is the source for Kol HaTorah. Whenever it shows up that Rav Kiva said that you sell ba'ayin yafa, this is the source. Fascinating lashon of Gemara. Okay, lashon of Gemara. Says Rashbam, the Rabbi Akiva Sava Moicha ba'ayin yafa moicha. Top line. B'chol dinei mechira sheba olam. Not only here, every single mechira, Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion that what he sells be'ayin yafa. U'dekarmanami ba'alma Rabbi Akiva l'tamei, and anytime it says that, kloimar midmukminim ba'alma, where we said it's in other gemaras, shar dine mechira, the toli tamayu ba'ayin yafa u'ba'ayin ra. I'll leave the Rabbi Akiva Rabbanon Kigoyin, for example, and you might remember this. Perecheskes abatim damar mocher ilanois v'shaya karka lefanov. Right? When you sell a tree and you left karka in front of it, was it part of the sale or not? Look at Rabbi Akiva Rabbanon. Rabbi Akiva yeshlei karka. He has karka lebal. Why? Ha'ilon shem yamas ilon yidachi b'mkomo. You're able to replace it. Why? Because when you sold them the ilon, what else did you sell? Ba'ayin yafa. You sold the karka around it, and therefore you retain rights to replant the tree. Well, Rabbanon ain't law. You won't get karka, and therefore you own the tree. If the tree dies, that's it. You can't replant it. So this is mehachim maslisan who did that kinala. This is the source. This is the source. So again, just to reiterate an example of it, which the Rashbam is going to bring in a little later, if a person goes ahead and sells a tree, and the tree dies, can you rebuild it or not? Replant it or not? Says the Rabbi Akiva, you could. You know why? Because when he sold you the tree, he sold ba'ayin yafa. So what was included in the sale of the tree? Some karka. Therefore, you can replant the tree. But like the chachamim hold that ba'ayin ra, then what do you get, guys? That's it. You get the tree. You get it. No. Nimai. Okay, furthermore, how do you know that's as far as the machlokes? In other words, you're assuming the machlokes over here that you leave a derech or not is dependent upon, contingent upon whether you say ba'ayin yaf or ba'ayin ra. Nimai, Dilmor perhaps, but pligi. This is the machlokes. Rabbi Akiva savar ein adam roitza sheyitain ma'oisav. A person doesn't want what? To go ahead and give money, and the other piece will go ahead and trample. Rabban Sava, Ein Adam Roitza Sheyitel Mois V'Yafriach Ba'aver. Right? So in other words, I can go ahead and tell you a different pshat to explain the machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and the Chachamim. So a person's going ahead. What's he doing? He's selling what? He's selling a house, and not including the sale of the house. What is? It says Rabbi Akiva the following. Rabbi Akiva says a person doesn't have a right. He doesn't have the rights to do that because perhaps in Adam lashon of Gemara, in Adam moitza sheyitem ma'osav v'drisu acherim. He doesn't want others people to go ahead and trample. And this moicha, the person who sold it, he knows this, and therefore, the person's like keach. He doesn't want what? People walking in his property. He doesn't want people walking in his property. And the Meicha knows this. So when the Meicha sold it, obviously he must have sold it with that in knowledge. Look at the Rashbam, guys. The first little line. Ein lekech roitza sheyitin damim l'Meicha. He's buying a house. The Yidrei shal gabe beisai. And people are going to walk in his house. Leilech the bar will do so. Guys, that's not outside, it's in his house. So you know what? You buy a house. So good that you retain rights to the bar b'dus, but no loikeach is going to do it. And the Meich himself knows. He's asking a kasha, guys. So good, who cares about the loikeach? Guys, who cares about the loikeach? Did the Meich sell him his rights or not? So Rashbam is answering that kasha. He also knows that people should be trampling around his house. He should have gone ahead and left it, and he didn't. So that's but it has nothing to do with ayin yafa or Ken Zayin. Rabbi Akiva holds ayin yafa, ayin ra. It has nothing to do with ayin yafa or ayin ra. It has to do with a practicality reason. You're going ahead. You're going to leave a person away to go. I'm buying a house. I don't want you trampling to my house. And the Mecca knows this. So, but it's not pshat that, he sold it generously. He knows the guy don't want that. Well, who would want that? Now, what about what's the Chacham sheet? That's easy to understand. Look at Lashon Chacham, guys. Rabbanon, Savri, ein adam moitze sheyitel mois, you give money, v'yafriach ba'avia. You're going to sell a house. You're going to retain rights to what? To the bar b'dus. And how are you going to get there? You're going to fly. So obviously, therefore, you retain rights. But Ken Zayin, they both hold ayin ra or ayin yafa. In other words, you're not locked into anything. Again, one more time, guys, outside. We want to bring a raya from our Mishnah. Why the fact that Rabbi Akiva does not leave a person an area to get to must be because he sold it by Ayin Yafa. And the Chacham say he does leave it because he sells by Ayin Ra. I can have another explanation, and there's nothing to do with Ayin Yafa or Ayin Ra. It's a practical application. Like if I sold you a house and the shamshus of the bar is different, and therefore it's not part of the sale, there's no way in the world that I want you tramping through my house to get there. So maybe you don't have a way to get there. But it's not because of Ayin Yafa, but because why? I don't want you in my house tramping through it. The Chachamim who say what? Who say you have a path has nothing to do with Ayin Yafa. They can hold Ayin Yafa, and still you could sell the land. But in this case, what good? I think Heshi was by that. What good does the bar do me if I can't get to it? So Mamela, that's the svara why he left over a spot. A practical reason, but not because they hold Ayin Ra, maybe because they hold Ayin Yafa also. So that's what the Gemara is barvons right now. The Elamei Seifa, you want to bring a raya. You want to bring a raya to Rabbi Akiva that machloikas b'ayin ra b'ayin yafa. Let's go to the Seifa of the Mishnah. Mochron, you're selling a bar v'dus la'acher to somebody else. Rabbi Akiva says, "Ain't it tzarich lichalei derech?" Why? Because Mistami is selling b'ayin yafa, and he's selling you, leaving you away to the bar. The Chacham ma'im tzarich. You have to buy a derech because Mistama, what's he doing? He's selling you b'ayin ra. So from the latter part of the Mishnah, we can be medayik that in. Says the Gemara, no, there's no raya. Dilma, according to everyone, with the Meichel could be ayin yafa, ayin ra, doesn't make a difference. But over here, baha pligi, v'kiv nechachamim, here's the machlekes. The v'kiv savar basa daita de lokeach as linon. You go after what the time of lokeach, and he doesn't want to have to go ahead what and fly to his pit in order to get to the pit. Right? He doesn't want, I bought a pit. It's not like the moich guys. There's a difference between the moicha having the pit and leaving it over from the house versus a guy who bought the pit. If I can't get this, so what did I buy it for? In other words, he had a difference. Buy the moicher, it was his all along. So the question is, did he retain rights to get there? But if Leikeach buys it and I can't get to it, so what good does it do me? Right? What good does it do me? So therefore, that's why Rabbi Akiva holds what? You have a means of getting there. He could hold ba'ayin ra. He could take a hold ba'ayin ra. But the reason why he holds that you have a way to get there, or else why did I buy it if I can't get there? But again, it's not because he holds ayin yafa. The Rabbi Akiva said busted daita like kechas linan. Rabbanan Sari busted daita the meichas linan. Right? We listen to his taina that he doesn't want the guy going ahead walking in his karka, and therefore what? He retained rights. So again, we don't have a raya to the machloikis that is totally amat, whether ayin ra, ayin yafa, it could be other reasons. So therefore, the Gemara is going to try again. The Ella, here's the raya. Meha, from the Mishnah later on. You're selling a field, guys. This is the Mishnah on ayin dalid. You're selling a field, right? What does the Mishnah say? Quick look. Not ayin dalid. I said the wrong thing. It's excuse me, it's ayin aleph. Ayin aleph. Ayin aleph. So a person selling a field. What does it say? In the field, even though there's a bar v'dus there, it's not part of the sale. Lo yas a bar, lo yas a dus. Just say dus. Lo yas a bar, lo yas a gas, the press, lo yas a shoybech, the coop, ben charevim, whether they're not occupied, ben yeshuvim, they're occupied. But tzarich likalei derech, the Rabbi Akiva, chacham mein in tzarich. Okay, let's see. Umayder Rabbi Akiva is macham lechutz me'elav. Okay, let's see. That's a similar Mishnah. Okay, so what does it say? We're selling a sada now. Later on. You're selling a field, loyas abar, loyas agas, loyas shayva. All these are in the field, they're not included in the sale. Bein charevim, whether they're dried out, literally they're not being used. Bein yeshuvim, v'tzarich likach le derech, and the moich has got to buy a derech. The Rebbe Akiva, these are the words Rebbe Akiva, right? So if you want to get to your bar, you want to get to your gas, you want to get to shayva, you have to buy away. You don't have to buy away. Pasul Lomali, the Chayr is the exact same thing as our Mishnah. Elava Kamash What's the whole reason you repeated this? So Akiva said Moicha Bayin Yafu Moicha. Rabban Savi Ayin Ra Meicha. Pirish. Why repeat the same din? If not to tell me that what? That the svara is that Rabbi Kiva says it's Ayin Yafa. Therefore, you sold everything. You don't have a way of getting to the shayvach. You don't have a way of getting to the gas. You don't have a way of getting to the bar. And the Chacham say no. And that's why it's repeated. It's the same din. Although what's the repetition? The repetition is to go ahead and stress that what it's totally an Ayin Yafa, Ayin Ra. Sorry, that's the stress over here. That's totally an Ayin Yafa of Ayin Ra. Allah. Kamash Rabbi Kiva said Ayin Yafa Macha. Masam Macha Ayin Ra. Dilmash Minan bias. The Kamash Milan Sadeh. The tzricha, you need to tell me both. In other words, I'm going to make it tzricha now, and in other words, I wouldn't know it by bias, I wouldn't know it by sada. And since I make it tzricha, it's not extra to teach me ayin yafa and ayin ra. Okay, what's the tzricha? Diashmiinon by bias. You'll tell me the machlokes by bias. Mishum de boyitz niusa. In the bias, you want to go ahead. What? You don't want any person passing through. Aval besada. There's no din it's sneas. Ema, I would say, there, shaloi. So maybe that Rabbi Akiva would say that what you could go, because again, it's not in your sneas. Viash me'inon the machloikis by sada, right? Mishum de koshalei davsha, because they walk and they're going to ruin the crops. This is walking on the crops. Of a bias when they're not walking on the crops, ema loy. I'd say that they're over there Rabbi Akiva's moida that you could walk through. Ella says there's no raya. So right now you don't have a raya buying yafa buying ra. Ella may say for the Mishnah of the Mishnah later on. Machman, if you sell a bar of gas v'shayvach, I'm not selling you the sada. I'm selling you the gas. I'm selling you the press. I'm selling you the coop. I'm selling you the bar of in the field. Lacher, Rabbi Kiva Omer, you kind of the bar and the shayvach, and ain't tzarich lichlei derech. You don't have to buy a derech. Why? Because I in yafa. So the Meicha sold it to you by Yafa. You have to go. So Hasul Lamali, why repeat this, guys? This is the same thing as by selling the bar v'dus. Same thing as bar v'gas. Alav Shemami no Kamash Malon. That what the Rebbe Kiva Sava Meicha ba'ayin Yafa Meicha. Run Sava Meicha ba'ayin Ram Meicha Shmami no. You have a good raya. Shmami no from this last din over there. You have a good raya. Else why repeat it? And the bottom line is, it's Rebbe Kiva's of that opinion ba'ayin Yafa. And Achamim's ba'ayin ra.